Good morning. We are here at our favorite coffee spot, Levercraft, getting ready to start the day doing some beekeeping, which we're pretty excited about. We took a little intro history of bees here a couple weeks ago, actually for our anniversary. She's super cute, yeah. And we got so into it that now we want to go learn how to actually do beekeeping and maybe keep a couple hives in our backyard. So we are going to head that way now. Unfortunately, it's kind of rainy out today. So hopefully that doesn't interfere with things, but we're going to find out.
Lucky for us, we were not too far from the place we were going, less than a 30-minute drive from the house. Pretty soon, we got to Two Hives Honey. We were greeted by their friendly dogs, and now we just needed to wait for our friends to show up and join us. Two Hives is on this beautiful 6-acre lot where they have a ton of their hives, and the owners live. And there's Coco taking a real estate call while we're there. Tara is one of the owners of Two Hives Honey. She left a job in the government to get into beekeeping and honey production and didn't actually know anything about it when she got started. So it's a really cool story of how she was able to just figure it all out on her own and build what's now been an incredibly successful business. They sell out of their honey each year, and then they also help other people in the Austin area set up their hives. So what we were here to primarily figure out is, what do we need to know to start doing beekeeping on our properties? How do we harvest the honey? How do we take care of the bees? All of it. And she was extremely helpful throughout this session with teaching us everything. So this was the first part, was just doing all of the classroom instruction, learning about how to maintain the bees. You can see her explaining how we do hive maintenance right here. And pretty soon it was time to get into the actual hives. The first step for getting into hives is to smoke them out a little bit. So what Tara's showing us here is how to prepare the smoker and start dusting out the bees. What the smoke does is it covers up their pheromones that they release to tell everyone in the hive that the hive is in danger and being attacked. And obviously we don't want that while we're poking around. So we're just going to put some smoke in there, calm them down a little bit, and make sure that they don't all fly out and start stinging us as soon as we open up. You'll notice Tara doesn't even wear gloves because she's so confident in how well this works. And, it did make the bees pretty chill. Time to open the hives. Tara's using something called a hive tool here, which helps disconnect any of the kind of putty or glue that the bees actually use to hold the hive together. Every time you open it up, you have to undo some of the glue because they're really diligent about locking everything down. So you kind of need a tool to get in there. Just going to smoke them some more so that, again, they don't fly out and attack us, and we can start to look inside the hive. Each one of these boxes has about 7 or 8 of these frames. Each frame could have as much as 5 pounds of honey on it if they're using it as a honey making frame. And as your hive grows and stays healthy, you can keep adding more frames and more boxes over time. This was a 3-box hive, but Tara said some of them get up to 5, 6, and you can see just how many bees are inside here. This was really, really cool to see them out like this. You can also pull out the frames, which obviously you have to do to get honey, but in our case, we're just pulling them out to look at them. And this is one reason that Tara suggested we use one of the more docile hives, because they're not going to mind us picking them up and looking at them. The most important thing is to not turn them too much onto their side, because the comb could fall apart and fall off, and we don't want that to happen. But I mean, look at all these bees. And according to Tara, they were using this frame to lay future eggs. So they're filling it with food for the future drones and workers that are going to grow out of this honeycomb. We got to pass around some of it and look at it. There's Coco checking out the bees. And you can see just how thick they are on it. They are really, really hard at work here. There's so many of them inside this hive. And again, just that smoke does such an incredible job of chilling them out, making sure that they don't fly around and attack us. Obviously, it's nice to have the protection as well. I got a nice little close-up of the bees right here. There's just so many of them. I've definitely never been around this many bees in my life. And when you see them just working like this, it's really not all that scary. Next, we got to look for the queen. So she is on here. See if you can spot her. Tara's going to point her out in a second. And she's slightly bigger, has the longer torso. And, she's obviously running around laying the eggs. And there she is. You can see that long booty that she's got. Finally, we got to check out a frame that was being used for honey. So each of these combs that's been capped, that's honey that they're storing primarily for them to use through the winter when they can't produce as much, but obviously we can harvest some of it too. And one of the big questions is, how much honey do you harvest versus leave for the bees to make it through the winter? After that, it was time to head back to the learning center. We had seen a ton just getting to play with the bees and getting to practice working in the hives. And now Tara wanted to go over some of the other gear that we would need to get started and show us some of the gift shop and the stuff they have for sale. They do have some really incredible honey that Cosette and I picked up last time we were here. And like I mentioned, they sell out of it every year. So they're doing a really, really good job of marketing themselves in the Austin area. With the B class over, it was off to Smithville, an area about 45 minutes east of Austin, where Cosette and I recently bought a house on about 6 acres that we want to turn into an Airbnb getaway for people. Here's what it looked like, but we were checking out the new paint job that was getting done over the last couple of weeks. One of the fun things about the drive to Smithville is that there's always this very happy water tower to greet us as we're getting nearby, and this is how we know that we are almost there. One of the things we really love about Smithville is that it has this historic Texas feel to it while still being really close to Austin, but it almost feels like you're in a completely different time period when you're here. We got some amazing tacos from this little spot right in downtown. These guys are actually opening a speakeasy and butcher shop soon, so we're excited to see that come together. We took a quick stop next door to grab a little coffee and check out the different knickknacks that they had for sale. And then it was a stop into one of our favorites, the general store, which has a bunch of antique furniture. Cosette and I actually bought that dining table in the bottom left for the new spot. On the way to our place, we stopped by this house that's for sale right in downtown Smithville for a really good price because we wanted to see, just what it looked like inside. It has really great lighting, really, really nice open kitchen, but we weren't wild about some of the finishes and some of the choices they'd made, so it's still a really good deal, but it wasn't quite as exciting as it seemed in the pictures. It was really fun to be able to just stop in and check this out, though. And it was off to our spot, or what we're calling Walden. I really love the last 10 minutes of the drive to it because you've got this beautiful Texas backcountry kind of wilderness, really nice trees and bushes, everything, kind of fun roads to drive down, and lots of really nice ranches out here. The actual driveway to the house is beautiful. It's got this long dirt road that you get to go down, and it really feels like you're getting out into the middle of nowhere, despite still being really close to downtown Austin. That whole road ends in this driveway for us, which was, our first intro to the house, and it was kind of like, what are we getting into? But then you come around the corner and you've got this awesome view of the front of it. Ta-da! The new paint job looks so nice. The old green just felt really dark with all the trees around, and now having everything in white really brightens it up, makes it feel like new. Time to go inside and check out how they did. Already I can tell that this new white paint is going to look so much nicer than the old beige and brown they had everywhere. The whole space feels way, way lighter. And they repainted the entire back deck area, which is super nice because I know we're going to be spending a lot of time sitting out here, eating, reading, and enjoying just being in nature. This is one of my favorite spots in the house too because it's such a perfect little coffee nook where you've just got nothing but trees around you. And even though the other houses are, on the next lots, you really feel like you're just completely alone out here. After inspecting the paint job, we wandered around the property a bit to try to find a good spot for our beehives. This actually looked like a pretty neat spot. There's lots of trees and plants around that the bees could pollinate on. And then we walked around a little bit more, checked out the chicken coop. It's probably going to be a while before we fill that up, but nice that the property came with it already installed. And then it was back to Austin. Again, only 45 minutes away, so really, really convenient as a bit of a getaway for anyone living in downtown who wants to escape to nature for a period. It was time to go home and see our dogs. And here they are. Pepper is the black and white one on the left, Tahoe's the little brown bear, and they were super happy to have us home and just spend the rest of the evening playing, hanging out, and relaxing. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the next video.